Okay, guys, welcome back to day 10 of rotation dynamics. Today, we are going to discuss a very important topic, which is called as angular momentum. Okay, this is going to change a lot of ideas. I mean, a lot of interesting topics that are related to rotational dynamics are actually linked to the topic of angular momentum. The best example is the gyroscope. Everyone has seen the post in Instagram that I made. I'm going to discuss the gyroscope in this topic, and there are a lot of examples. We'll slowly get there. I'm going to discuss all the examples about angular momentum, which are quite interesting. Okay, it's not just a basic example. There are tons of examples. Let me show you some videos on it already. Not videos exactly. Where is it? The browser. Yep. Let me start with this thing. No, not this. Yeah, this is one of the best examples that we all already know. Best example for conservation of angular momentum. Okay, we've already seen this kind of an example. We're quite used to this example. I mean, like a lot of people already have told you about this thing. When you increase the moment of inertia and all, I will talk about this. I'm going to just show you all these examples, but I will definitely talk about this. This is one of the best examples. Okay, I'm going to post these two anyway tomorrow, most probably, in the Instagram. Yeah, you see that when it is shrink, the angular velocity is like increasing drastically. That's quite a good example. And this is one of the most intriguing examples. Okay, because look at that thing. Like she's just simply standing on a small wheel. Okay, a frictionless wheel, and the direction of her is changing just because she's changing the rotational direction. Okay, so that is quite an interesting example, and you might have seen this already. Let it load. Yeah, this is an example that I would definitely love to discuss. Okay, this is quite an interesting idea, the gyroscopic effect. I'll definitely discuss this also. And what is this? Yeah, this is a similar example again, like maybe more clear this thing. He sits on a chair or a table with a wheel on the base, and when he turns the wheel in different directions, he is also turning. Like, who's making him turn in that specific direction? Okay, so all these ideas, all these examples are going to be discussed in this today's topic. Let me check if I have any gyroscopic videos. Anyway, I'm going to discuss them. So you're going to see those examples at any cost, so don't worry about it. So let's just start with the topic first of all. Okay, we need to know the basics. We all know that the linear momentum p bar is derived as mv bar. We know it was defined that way, right? We've already known this. And to go into the depth of this topic, it's a long, a much, it's not needed. It's not really needed for you people. So we don't really. I didn't discuss when you talked about the linear momentum either. Okay, this is a linear momentum. I only just gave you the definition. We only started with the definition. I told you people we cannot go into the depth of this topic right now. Similarly, the angular momentum was defined. The angular momentum was defined. It is written as L bar equals to R cross P bar. R cross P bar, which is nothing but R cross M into V bar. Just like we've defined the torque. Remember the idea R cross F bar. So R cross mv bar. Now it also affects the same way it is affected the torque. The direction, we are giving both the direction of angular momentum and also magnitude. So this part right here, it is giving both the magnitude of the angular momentum and also the direction. I'll show you a practical example. Like, let us say you have a particle, you have this axis of rotation. About this axis, a particle is rotating. So if a particle is going with a velocity v, obviously you take some radius of that thing, and r cross v, if you, okay, I cannot show. Why not? We have that thing, right? So I can directly show you that. Where is that thing? Where is that app? I can't see the tab. Where is the tab? Where are you? Yeah, here you are. Yeah, look at this thing. I've already got it loaded. So you can see all the things, right? You can see V, you can see the R bar, and you can see the angular momentum direction also. I hope this thing is clear. When the particle is going in this direction, the angular momentum is downward. When the particle is going anti-clockwise, you can use the same idea as torque. Remember, when the body is turning this way, the torque is out of the paper. When the body is turning this way, the torque is into the paper. Exactly the same thing. When the body is turning like this, The linear momentum is like this, the angular momentum is perpendicular out of the paper. Now see, the body is turned in the opposite direction. Try to close your fingers along with the direction. Now just try to close your fingers with this thing. If you're closing in the same direction, the angular momentum is upwards. It is decreasing because the velocity is decreasing. Clearly observe that. The velocity is decreasing, so the angular momentum is also decreasing. And the velocity is zero, the angular momentum is also zero. When the velocity is in the opposite direction, now you can clearly see that the angular momentum is in the downward direction. Okay, so this is how basically they simply define the idea of angular momentum. I hope this part is clear. So if V is like this, I'm closing fingers along with V. So the angular momentum direction will be like this. L bar will be like this. Okay, I hope this is clear for everyone. Whenever you find a particle which is going in a circle, it doesn't really have to go in a circular motion. That is an important point. Okay, let us say you have an axis. Okay, and you find a particle going with a velocity v like this. That's all. You can define the angular momentum for this particle. Since you have a perpendicular distance from the axis, this is the axis of rotation, let's just say. Since you have a perpendicular distance r bar, I can already define the angular momentum of this particle at that instant. Yeah, it is definitely not going in a circular motion, but at that instant, I can define the angular momentum of this particle. R bar into mv bar is nothing but L bar. The angular momentum at that instant can be defined like that. So this is an important point, guys. Like you need to remember angular momentum. To define angular momentum, the particle doesn't really have to go in a circular motion. At that instant, it has a perpendicular distance from the axis, so that is enough. And similarly, when the particle's velocity is passing through axis itself, like z is the axis of rotation, let's just say the particle is going like this along the x-axis. So when you extend the velocity vector, it is passing through z only, so the angular momentum in this situation is zero. Obviously, like just like torque, we've already done with the torque problems r cross f, except you have r cross mv bar. So the idea of angular momentum is very simple. Okay, so whenever you find a problem that is related to an angular momentum, remember this definition: r cross p bar, or in the place of p bar, you can write mv bar also. P is nothing but mv. You can take m out and separately write them all. That's not a big deal. But this is how you define the angular momentum for a single particle. Is that clear? No. If the particle is not just single, let us just say the particle is not just a single particle. There are hundreds of particles, there are thousands of particles, there are millions of particles. All the particles are going around like this. Okay, so what do we do? What we need to do is angular momentum of one particle L1 is nothing but r cross p1. R cross P1. But to write it in a much bigger perspective, of course, yeah, Aditya Kumar Sethi already gave the answer. I want the summation of all the angular momentums. The good part is all the angular momentums are in this direction only. L bar, L bar, L bar, L bar. Because all the particles are going in a circular motion like this. All the particles are adding this angular momentums only. If you clearly see that R, M, V, L bar, V bar can be written as, if you clearly remember that, you remember that part, or let's just bring the magnitude into this thing. Okay, let's just bring the magnitude into this thing. It takes a longer way to actually bring this thing. I can actually bring V as r omega, and that brings mr square omega. And if I only write the summation, all the summation of all the particles, sigma mr square, and omega is basically same for all the particles, so I write L bar equals to I omega bar. This is such a silly way to introduce to you people, but I don't want to confuse you people with unnecessary equations at this space. Okay, for you people this is like a shortcut. Like a lot of you people don't even see what I did there, but that is kind of an illegal way to do it directly, right? But for you people it is totally fine to remember this in this direction. L bar equals to I into omega bar. So whenever you have a body rotating with an angular velocity omega, you can directly write the angular momentum of the body as I into omega bar. You know, omega bar also has a direction, right? Omega bar's direction is the same. So L bar is also in the same direction whenever you have a body. Okay, so this definition is very important. L bar equals to I omega bar. We are going to use this thing a lot. If we have a single particle, we can happily use this. We have multiple particles, not just multiple particles. If we have a continuous body, we should be using this. Okay. What is wrong in this way? Aniket is asking, because I can't simply write this vectorial product into this, and it's a kind of a a huge jump that I'm taking. I'm not really able to show you this at this moment. Okay, this is a long way to do it. There's a long way to do it. If I do it the right way, then you'll understand what's wrong with this thing. So let's not just do this. The solution, even though the solution took a shortcut, this statement is totally fine. L bar can be written as I omega bar. Okay, so this is totally fine. Even H.C. Verma also, he didn't explain how he directly came to this point, but in a good textbook they should mention why it is that way. Okay, but let's just forget that point. Whenever you see a body, let's say uh, let's just say there is a disk rotating with an angular velocity omega. What is the angular momentum? L bar equals to is nothing but mr square by 2 into omega. That's all. That's the angular momentum. Let us say the same situation. The disk is rotating about this axis. So you make sure you write the moment of inertia about this axis, which is nothing but 3 by 2 mr square. I hope you remember the values still. 3 by 2 mr square is nothing but mr square by 2 plus md square. So 3 by 2 mr square, and you get the angular momentum like this. Okay, so to write the angular momentum about any axis, you should be ready to do this. You should be ready to write the moment of inertia about that axis, and write the angular momentum. Now, there is one important point I will discuss later, but please remind me about this thing. Maybe, yeah, most probably tomorrow. Okay, most probably tomorrow. That, let us say a part. I'm talking about an axis here, and a body is rotating here. I want the angular momentum about this point. L bar about this point. Okay, to discuss this, we need to take a long route. I need to discuss a lot. People get confused. So please remind me about this thing. Maybe tomorrow I'll be able to discuss this thing. Okay, when you're moving about an axis which is outside, things don't get complicated, but people get confused. That's why. Okay, people get confused, and that's why I don't want to discuss this thing. For now, strictly, simply feel the point that a body is, Aniket, what is it?
Sir, we can't just do that MD square.
We can, but a lot of people get confused there that there is a difference. Okay. Uh, I don't want to talk about it. That's why I don't want to talk about it at all. Please remind me about it. Tomorrow you'll clearly see the difference why a body is going around another axis and what is exactly happening. Okay. You will clearly see that. I will discuss this tomorrow. But for now, whenever you see the word called angular momentum, you simply stick to this point, I omega. That's all. It's not going to do uh, any damage to you at this point. Okay, it's totally fine. Now, a more important idea: the angular momentum and the torque. How these two are related? The angular momentum and the torque. How these two are related? I can directly do one thing: writing dl bar by dt, d omega bar by dt, which is nothing but I alpha. Considering the moment of inertia is constant, considering the moment of inertia is constant, this is nothing but torque. So people write it as the rate of angular moment, change of angular momentum is nothing but torque. People simply can understand this. Here I'm going to take a long route. Okay, I'm not going to consider this as constant. I'm going to consider this point. Angular momentum of a particle can be written as r cross p bar. Angular momentum of a particle can be mass, a particle mass going can be written as like this. When I write dl bar by dt, I have to write d by dt of r cross p bar. No, this is like differentiation by parts. I have to write dr bar by dt cross p bar plus, this time I leave r bar like this, but I differentiate dp bar by dt. I hope you see that. First of all, I differentiated this and left this out, and then I left this out and differentiated this. Like, differentiation by part. We go d by dt of a into b, dA by dt into b plus dA, b into dA by dt. We do that all the time. Now, this is an important point. Clearly watch. dr by dt, the rate at which the position vector is changing is nothing but v cross v bar. So v cross p bar plus r cross dp bar by dt. Okay. And v cross this is nothing but mv plus r cross dp bar by dt. For some people, this might look like Chinese already, but don't worry. We are going to arrive at a simple point. That simple point is enough, along with all the definition. I mean, along with all the derivation, that simple point is very important. You just need to end at that point only. Gopika, what is it?
Sir, are you considering the cross product and multiplication same here?
Yeah. In differentiation, we can do that. In differentiation, like there is a proof for that also, but we are not going to those proofs. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, V cross MV bar, we are basically writing a cross product of V bar and V bar, which is nothing but zero. We all know that this is a null vector. So I'm not considering that anymore. We have dl bar by dt equals to r cross dp bar by dt, which is nothing but dl bar by dt is r cross dp bar by dt is nothing but force. And this ends up as torque. Okay, so this is a proper way to introduce the idea that the rate of change of angular momentum is nothing but torque. People do it in the previous way, but that is kind of a very amateurish way to do it. Okay, let's just talk about this thing. Now, even though you didn't understand what the steps that it took, the important point is the rate of change of angular momentum is nothing but torque, which is exactly related to the rate of change of linear momentum is nothing but force, if you remember that. The rate of change of linear momentum is nothing but force. And we've even talked about it. If only F net equals to 0, which means if only external force is 0, the linear momentum is constant.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
For that linear momentum, we didn't have such a long procedure, right, sir?
Yeah. But like even in the linear momentum topic, we left out a lot of ideas and we didn't discuss all those points. Like I kind of took a shortcut there also. So no, we are not. We are leaving out a lot of points. If you really want me to speak that way, okay, we are missing out on a lot of points, but that is the way that we do it for you people to understand. Okay, so just leave it that way. So the point that I'm trying to convey here is whenever there is no external force, we used to conserve the momentum, the law of linear momentum conservation. The P bar used to be constant, because which means the momentum of a body was constant when there is no external force. The linear momentum of a body is constant when there is an external force. Exactly like that. Whenever a external torque is 0, the angular momentum of a body remains constant. The angular momentum of a body remains constant. So whenever there is no external torque acting on a body, the angular momentum is constant, which exactly is nothing but conservation of angular momentum. The idea is that's where you bring in this idea, conservation of angular momentum. Whenever there is no external force, the momentum of the system must remain constant. And this is where I'm bringing this idea. Clearly observe this thing. L bar is nothing but I omega. Let us just say there is no external torque on the system. There is no external torque on the system. The angular momentum has to remain constant. So if only I increases, omega decreases. If only I decreases, omega increases. Now, what's the best example that we can come up with in this situation? Obviously, this. What exactly is happening when the man is stretching his arms, and what exactly is happening when the man is compressing his arms? So let me take a screenshot there. Okay. Did I get it? Yes, I got it. So this is the axis of rotation. And when he stretched out his arms, the moment of inertia is clearly increased. So I is increased. So he's going around with a slow angular velocity. The angular velocity is decreased. But check what is happening when he's bringing his arms closer. When he's bringing his arms closer, you can clearly observe that the angular velocity is slightly increased. Okay. In this example, you might not be able to understand that, but check this example. This is like one of the best example. You're clearly decreasing the size of the hollow sphere, let's just say, or you can simply say that the moment of inertia of the whole body is clearly decreased. Whenever the moment of inertia of the body is clearly decreased, you can clearly see a huge difference of angular velocity there. Okay, you can clearly see a huge difference of angular velocity increasing or decreasing. So that is one hell of a great example for you to understand. Okay, now and Aditya is saying, sir, you told us to remind about the physical existence of radius of gyration. Not now. Radius of gyration comes in the topic of rolling. Okay, I want you to clearly understand this part for now. Okay, we even observe this thing in the case of ice skiers also. Like these people. Let me show this. Yeah. Look at what she's doing. Let it load first. Yeah. So she simply brings all her body really. It's not completely there. What's the best example that we have? I don't know. All these examples kind of seem silly. Yeah, this guy, this person. Look at this person. This person simply brings all, like, when all the masses clearly came close. Look at how much of a change in angular velocity that is clearly there. Okay, so this is one of the best examples that we can talk about. Aniket, what is it?
Sir, so can we apply to these planes also and say that if planes are close to ground, they'll be faster?
What? When the planes are close to what?
Close to the ground, they'll be faster. Can we say like that, sir?
No. How is that related?
It is similar to this only, right, sir?
Not at all. How? Like what is increasing or what is decreasing there?
Sir, the moment of inertia for the plane
About which axis?
about the Earth's center, sir.
Wait a second. If you're strictly talking that way, I mean, I shouldn't be discussing this. If you are strictly talking that way, when the plane is away, yeah, the system of Earth and the plane, the system of Earth and the plane, they go slow. This is not a good example because the mass of plane is very small compared to, I mean, like, Gopika, you can speak. Mass of plane is very less compared to that. But the best example that you can see is a huge dam in China. There's a huge water dam in China. Whenever they open it, the flow of water, the flow of water causes a huge change in angular velocity that actually brings down the speed of Earth's rotation. Do you know that? Okay, this is a very great example that actually brings down the speed of Earth's rotation. Okay, the water release actually does that. You can Google that. Huge dam that is there in China. Okay, it's not just that. Let's just imagine we've built a lot of huge buildings on the equator. On the equator, let's just say we've built a lot of huge buildings. Clearly, the moment of inertia of Earth will be increased. So the day of Earth's rotation actually gets decreased because of just the buildings that we built there. Okay, and it's not just that. We've all known this thing, the polar caps. The polar caps are used to be solid. When they start melting, all this mass is actually getting melted away and it is going towards the equator. It's not completely coming towards the equator, but it is actually moving towards the equator. So the moment of inertia is increasing. This will bring a change of angular velocity. This will bring down the angular velocity of the Earth system. It actually does. Okay. Gopika, what is it? You raise your hand. Ouch. My leg has gone numb. Gopika, what was your doubt? No, nothing. Gopika, what is it?
So we got a question like in exam they were asking the increasing order of angular velocities. Is that related to this, sir?
No, angular velocity is already done. Angular velocity is like basic thing. Angular momentum is here. We are talking about angular momentum here.
Okay, sir.
Okay. No. So guys, if I clearly simply give you a problem saying a disk is rotating, what is angular momentum? All you got to do is simply write I omega. Okay. We are going to solve a lot of problems on this specific thing. I'm just wondering, do I discuss this? No, no. I don't want to discuss this thing yet. Let us just keep it this way. I want to discuss more ideas on this thing maybe tomorrow. The idea of angular momentum. How exactly are we feeling angular momentum? The best way to feel the angular momentum. Like the last example, these two examples are easy to understand. Like this example was easy to understand. This example was quite easy to understand. This example was also clear, easy to understand. But what exactly is happening? Not here. Let me check this. Can somebody explain what exactly is happening here? Azaid is asking, a smaller object have angular momentum, which is more momentum than a bigger one. No, the angular momentum is constant for a body. Now, can somebody explain what is happening here? If you can explain what is happening here, that would be great. Nobody? Of course, it is not that easy of an idea to discuss. Maybe we will also discuss this thing tomorrow. Okay, you will get a better idea about this also. But this today is just an introduction to the idea of angular momentum. No, along with the idea of angular momentum, I want to discuss one more thing also, that angular kinetic energy also. Because there were problems, I want you to do these problems. Angular kinetic energy is also something that we need to be discussed. It's a very, very simple idea. It's not even complicated. I'll show you how. Let us say this is the axis of rotation. A particle is going around and it is having a velocity v. The mass is m. I can write the moment of inertia as half mv square. That's all. That's it. The kinetic energy of the particle is half mv square. R. I can do one more thing. I can write this thing in terms of angular velocity, which is m into r square v by v square by r square. Can I do that? So basically multiplying with r square in both the situations. So this is nothing but the moment of inertia of that particle. This is nothing but angular velocity. So half I omega square is the kinetic energy of one particle. If only I write the entire kinetic energy, I simply apply sigma, and the entire total kinetic energy, the angular kinetic energy, when a body or like when a disk is rotating. No, Aditya, we don't have angular potential energy. That's a good doubt. No, we don't have any angular potential energy. Potential energy is a very basic concept. Whenever you have spring forces, whenever you have gravitational forces, that's when it comes. Okay. So you have a body which is rotating with angular velocity omega. You have all the particles rotating with angular velocity omega. So total kinetic energy, Ke total, can be written as half sigma mr square omega square. So this brings us half I omega square. Okay, so sigma. So you simply remember this thing also, like the rotational kinetic energy of a rotating body. If it is rotating about another axis, let us say the rod is rotating about this axis, the entire rod. What do? You simply write the total kinetic energy of the rod is nothing but half into I into omega square. How much is I? ml square by 3. You are basically writing the particles half mv square. Each and every particles half mv square. That's all. You're basically writing each and every particles half mv square. That's all. When you write all the summation, you're basically getting this only in terms of angular velocity. That's all. So that is the introduction of angular momentum, which is L bar, and angular, you don't really have to call it as angular kinetic energy. It is basically kinetic energy, a rotational kinetic energy. Let's call it as rotational kinetic energy. That makes more sense. Rotational kinetic energy, which is nothing but, you can simply write it as Ke only, which goes as half I omega square. And this is I omega. Okay, so you hope you remember both the ideas of conservation of angular momentum and kinetic energy. We are going to use these ideas. And solve a lot of problems. Let me check if I can solve one or two problems in today's subject itself. Let me check that. Where is my HC Verma? Yeah, here it is. So the problem number 46, 47, 48, all these problems are basically about asking the angular momentum and angular rotational kinetic energy only. Problem number 50. A dumbbell consists of two identical small balls rotating about an axis. Impulsive force. Acha, shall I introduce the impulse also? Look at the problem number 52. Look at the problem number 52. A diver is a moment of inertia. Diver, like you know this thing, right? Who people who dive into the swimming pool from a height, when they
I do
jump,
that.
when they're at a height, they actually fold themselves completely. They completely fold themselves into a very small body so that the angular velocity is more, so that they can do more turns in the air before they hit the water. Okay, so that is the question that is related there. A diver, question number 52, I'm discussing a diver has a moment of inertia. Let me underline it. Has a moment of inertia of this about an axis passing through the center, rotates at an angular velocity of this. If he folds his hands and decrease the moment of inertia, what is the new angular speed? I1 omega 1 equals to I2 omega 2. I increased, omega angular velocity decreased. Okay. So in rotation mechanics, the formulas are very easy. I don't know. No, they are not easy. Trust me. Okay. There are problems where you will cry. You will literally cry. Okay. So you can do the problem like 52, and let's see if you can do the problem 51 also. Wheel of moment of inertia and radius is given. Angular speed picks up. This is a good question. Look at 51. There is a wheel which is nothing but a disk. Moment of inertia is given. The radius is also giving, rotating about its axis with an angular speed. Now it picks up a stationary particle on its edge. What is speaking here is, this is a simple question again. There is a disk of mass m, radius r, rotating with an angular velocity omega. What happened was, like right while it was rotating, it picked up a particle, like some particle landed here, and it started with a new angular velocity. Let's just call it as. Okay, here the angular, like when the particle just picked up on that thing, there was no external force on that. The system was there is no external force. It's not like there is no external torque on the system at all. Okay, yeah, the particle's mass is definitely there, but this mg is parallel to the axis of rotation. Do you see that? So this mg cannot also create any torque. So it did not create any torque. It clearly did not create any torque. So there was no external torque. The angular momentum has to be constant. Initially it was mr square by 2 into omega. Now it is mr square by 2 for the disk plus particle mr square into omega dash. You simply equate these two and find the omega dash value. That is the value that he's clearly asking in that problem. Okay, because of this moment of inertia, because of this additional moment of inertia, the angular velocity is clearly decreased. Okay, so these are the kind of problems you are going to face. Maybe if you are able to do this, I'm going to discuss these problems anyway tomorrow, but maybe if you are able to do this, let us say there is a man standing on a disk. Okay, he jumps off. Because he's jumping off, the disk will recoil in the backward direction. So he asked what is the recoil velocity. Initially, nothing was moving. So initial angular momentum was 0. Let us take a look at the top view of the man running, or the man jumping. Okay. So this is the top view of the disk. The man jumped in this direction with, let us say, v1, and the disk recoiled with an angular velocity omega 1. What happened here? The man's mass is small m, the disk's mass is capital M. I'm going to write the angular momentum of the entire system for the man. I'm considering the man as a particle mass. mv into perpendicular distance, basically m into, sorry, let me write it in a much better way. For the man, yeah, I'm only writing for the man for now. R cross into mv. Since they're perpendicular to each other, R and mv are perpendicular to each other, I'm directly writing as RMV. That is for the man. And for the disk, I'm writing for the disk now. Now clearly observe, the man's angular momentum is like this. The disk's angular momentum is in the opposite direction. That is why I'm writing the angular momentum of the disk as minus I omega, which is nothing but minus mr square by 2 into omega 1. Let's just write it as. Okay. So the angular momentum final is nothing but r bar L bar equals to mrv minus sorry mr square by 2 omega 1. This is the final angular momentum. The initial angular momentum was clearly zero, nothing was moving. So simply equate this to zero and I can find the velocity of omega. I'm going to discuss these problems, don't worry. I'm just giving you a heads up how to solve these kind of problems. You may go ahead and solve all the problems from 46, 47, 48, 49 up to 55, 56, 57. I guess you can solve. But I will discuss these problems anyway tomorrow. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. Most probably, if it is possible, I'll try to give a DPP today. Okay, let's see if I can. I mean, if I can find some questions, I'll try to give you a DPP. Any questions just regarding today's class? Any questions just regarding today's class? Leave out the idea of angular impulse. I didn't discuss the angular impulse idea today. I will discuss it tomorrow because it was too much already. So just any doubts about today's class? Okay, I don't see any. So guys, I'm leaving you with all the intriguing ideas that we are supposed to discuss in this topic. We will discuss all these topics for sure. Tomorrow's class will be more interesting, trust me. Okay, Aditya, what is it?
Sir, does torque also have some work done?
We will talk about work done. I just introduced you to energy, right? I'm going to talk about it. I will talk about them. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So yeah, that's it, guys. We are going to talk about work done. We're going to talk about energies and all for sure. But for now, just let's just rest with this part. Okay. So thanks so much, and we will meet again tomorrow's class. So thanks very much, and bye bye. Okay.